Yo, what is up lads and ladettes, to Rainbow Six Siege video. Now in today's video we'll be covering sensitivity and settings for Rainbow Six Siege. Now this is for Operation Neon Dawn, so it's a 2021 version, and yeah, hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. Now first off, I just want to clear up that I'm not any pro or anything. Actually, I'm not even that good at the game. I do have a neg KD, so I'm not the best, of course. I do play on PC, so this is for PC, but I will be covering console as well. But yeah, I've been playing Siege for roughly 3 years now, so I do know what I'm talking about, and I do have a gist of all the settings. Like, just because I play bad doesn't mean I don't have the right settings. I have actually gone through and talked to a lot of pro players, like high diamonds and plats and stuff like that, who have gone through and they've taught me essentially all the settings I need to run. So I just want to share that on to you guys, because as a YouTuber, I've come across a lot of other people who've taught me these sort of things. But anyway, let's get into the video. So if we go into the settings, first off, we're going to cover the General tab. Now, interface preferences. Okay, now this is quite important because you want to run certain things on your screen that you need, but you want to keep off all the stuff that's kind of bulky or in the way that you don't necessarily need. Scoring, you want to have this on so you know if you down someone. Of course, you're not going to go through and rush for your down kill all the time, but just letting your teammates know that you've downed that person or that you've destroyed some gadget with your Thatcher is very helpful, so definitely leave scoring on. Now, grenade indicator, you don't necessarily need this off, I mean on. You're probably going to hear grenades roll over to you or see them get thrown at you. Plus, if someone throws a grenade, they're going to choke it anyway, so no point in that. Teammate outline, I'd have this on, so for example, if someone's getting interred by Cav, you can at least see the outline and shoot above them rather than killing your teammates on accident. Teammate names, you can see from the scoreboard that what operator they're playing, so you don't necessarily need their names on. Plus you can call them by their operator and they usually know who they are, because most people take note of who they pick. Now threat indicator, I'd leave that off. Hit indicator, now I'm pretty sure this is where you get shot from. So if you got shot from behind you, you'd get like a red arrow from that kind of point you in that direction. So it kind of does help out, so I'd definitely leave this on, definitely recommended. Reload indicator, I would leave off. Now, when it comes to reloading, you kind of want to use as much bullets as you have in your mag. You want to use your mag to your advantage, the full mag. You don't want to go through and reload constantly because it can get you killed. Especially if they're listening for sound cues and push you while you're reloading. It's not very good, so definitely leave this off so you can use every bullet without being spammed on your screen to reload. Now, health, you actually have a health bar at the top of your screen, so you have 2 health bars in game, so one on your operator icon at the top of the screen, so there isn't a point in having a second one. So unless you want it on, I would probably leave it off, so when you're in like a 1v2 clutch situation or something like that, you're not panicking about your health if you're low health. Now, weapon panel. This essentially covers your weapons and like your weapon name in the bottom corner, as well as your reserve ammo and your ammo capacity. So you definitely want to have this on so you know how much ammo you have in your mag at all times, as well as how much you have in reserve, just so you can use it to your full advantage without having to panic and, running a dry mag on someone while you're shooting. Compass, you definitely want to use this because you want to give callouts, especially at the start of the round when you want to tell your team which side they spawned at, etc. And if you're not actually familiar with map rooms, like if you don't know the map very well, because a lot of Siege players don't sometimes, then you can use your compass and just say west side in whatever floor you're on, and then mention what the room looks like, just for a quick callout. Now, show verse notification. Now this, I would definitely leave off. So if you like doing montages or clipping clips and stuff like that, pretty much this is where it pops up on screen with 1v4 or 2v4 situation. It constantly pops up and it's very annoying, so I would leave this off because you can definitely tell from the top of your screen anyway, or on scoreboard who's alive and stuff like that. Now, show crosshair, leave that on because if you want to hip fire, it does come in handy. Now, you want to turn all 5 of these on down here, so it's just debuffs and like hit confirmation and stuff like that. Now, I don't want to keep this video too long because even with all this info, it's going to be still fairly lengthy, so I'll go through pretty quick. Now, the pinging system, they've added a new 2.0 pinging system, which a lot of Siege players will be familiar with by now. But essentially, you want to have this on. This is for that ping. It doesn't mean like internet ping or anything like that. This is the display for that, so you can ping towards your teammates. Display game info. Now, this is FPS and network ping and stuff like that. Now, this you probably want to have off unless you have performance issues and you want to be able to see your frames and stuff like that. Then probably leave it on. Okay, cycle and side camera groups. Now, I would leave this off. Drone after prep, have this automatic, so as soon as prep phase is over, you automatically switch off your drone, just so you're not wasting time. PC chat channel, you can have this on all. It really comes to preference. I mean, if you want to say, GG or good night or good luck, whatever to the enemies, then yeah, leave it on. Plus, you can see what they have to say, and sometimes they give away information, because I don't know why, but you know, Siege players. Now, for audio, this is extremely important, but there's not really much to cover in this topic. Now, master volume, I like to have it quite low. It really depends. Like, you want to have it just loud enough so you can hear footsteps and stuff like that, but you don't want it too loud. Now, music volume, you want this probably switched off. Just, it does help to have that at 0. And dialogue volume, I like to have this slightly over my master volume, so around, mine's at 34. Probably set this to, yeah, anywhere between 20 and 50. And master volume, of course, purely comes to your headset and your sound listening and stuff like that. Just pretty much everything you prefer. Subtitles I would leave off, and of course your language or whatever, your own languages. Now, dynamic range, I would leave this on hi-fi, purely. So, it pretty much, it's just like your surroundings and your speakers and stuff like that, like how it goes through. Night mode, I think that probably just goes quieter. And of course, when it comes down to voice chat, you want to have voice chat volume at 100% so you can hear all your teammates' callouts, and everything else comes up to personal preference. Now on display, another important feature / topic. Display is extremely important, so if you've made it this far, trust me, you're going to want to hear this. So first off, resolution, make sure it's set at 1920 by 1080 if that's what your monitor's resolution is. It really depends because for most people this is the standard resolution, but some people could be running 1280 by 720. Yeah, this is another default size. Or you could be running this one up from this. I'm not actually too sure what it's called. I think it's 1440 by 1080. Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, generally this is what you're going to run. Now, a tip is if you see here, this little hotbar thing here, if you go right to the far right, as far as you can go, that's probably the highest you can go to, and that's what you want to set it to. So set it to the highest resolution you can. Display mode. Now, if you don't want any distractions, I would go full screen. By the way, this is your monitor name up here, if you were curious. So even if you don't know the resolution of your monitor, you could probably search it up on Google or anything like that. Now, refresh rate. Now, this is something I didn't actually think about. I was on 60 Hz, right, because I had a 60 Hz monitor, and I thought it would automatically adjust, but I got a brand new 144 Hz monitor, right, and no one had told me to change this. I had no idea the changes. So one of my pro players, a high plat, he came and told me, change it to 144, and I did, and I noticed a huge difference. I'll show you on screen right now, but this is the difference, and it was so insane. So when you go left to right in 60 Hz, it's kind of like a still image. It's very choppy. I don't like it, but if you go 144 Hz, it's a lot smoother, has like motion blur on it. It just looks so much better and feels so much better when you're playing, like for flicking and stuff like that. Now, aspect ratio, this is another important one. You want to have this roughly around either 16:9 or 16:10, which is the default. So 16:10 and 16:9, those are default. Or if you want to play stretched like a lot of pro players do, it just, I don't know why, but personally, me and a lot of other people, they just feel like it's just easier to get kills, and it just feels much smoother when you're running around. It's just a better look and something we're used to now. It really depends up to personal preference, of course. But yeah, 4.3 is what I personally run, and I know a lot of people that run that as well. VSync. Now, I've been told by so many people to leave this off. You can either have it on one frame so it syncs with your monitor, but apparently leaving this off is probably the best example, or best idea, sorry. Widescreen letterbox, have this off. And field of view. Now, field of view, you want to have in between the bracket of, I would say in between 70 and 90. That is my recommended. 50 is default, I'm pretty sure. But you want to have it in between 70 and 90. Now, 90 is the max you can go to, but it's quite far out. I recommend 85. That's probably just perfect. So if you don't know what your FOV is, pretty much it's how far your screen is from the actual game, like actual... I don't even know how to explain this properly, but pretty much when you're in a game, you can actually go through and adjust this to find out yourself what it does. But yeah, it's just your FOV, so your point of view or your field of view of how far things are in front of you. So things will get smaller the higher you put it, and you have more of a field of view, so you can see more on your screen pretty much. So that's the best way I can probably describe that. Calibration, you probably want to have this at roughly 50 to 75. I mean, that's my recommended. Don't go too bright, don't go too low. But it's, of course, the personal preference when it comes to display, like that sort of stuff. Graphics. Now, graphics, it doesn't necessarily matter. This comes down to performance. If you don't have like a 2060 or a 1080 or anything, don't run Ultra or anything like that. But me personally, I run high textures and everything else medium, okay? and then SSBC for ambient occlusion, and as well for texture filtering, I go for the middle option because you don't want to go too far up or too far down. So this is just kind of basics to graphics. It still looks nice, the game still looks cool, functions well, and you still get the sun looking nice and stuff like that. But you can see people better. You gotta remember, you're playing Siege to kill people. You're not playing Siege to go look at a bush or something, right? I mean, if you're doing that, then you can put it up to Ultra, but you're probably going to be distracted or not be able to see the people as better. So I would have it on medium personally. Lens effects, I'll have that off, so it's like sun blooms and stuff like that, and pretty much none of it affects your screen, so you can actually see properly. Zoom in, depth of field. Now, I think when you ADS, this is pretty much the background around your gun or your scope, so I would leave this on so everything zooms in at once. Anti-aliasing I have off, and yeah, if you had that on, you could adjust these settings here. Now for controls, this is important. I'm going to cover the sensitivity. Now, there is no perfect sensitivity like everyone says. I mean, everyone will tell you there's not the right sensitivity. You got to find it for yourself. But I'll give you a general guideline of the bracket which you can pick from. So generally, a lot of pro players you'll see run from 10, okay, to about 25, okay. 10 to 25. Now, I have seen people run like 4 and 5 and stuff like that, but my bracket, especially if you're not a pro at Siege or anything like that, or you just, you know, kind of at my level, run 10 to 25. I think that's my recommended. You could go all the way up to 32. That probably wouldn't hurt too bad, but of course, it comes purely down to preference. You know, just jump into a TerraSant and practice. Now, a lot of people kind of doubt or just don't really rely on TerraSant too much. Now, for TerraSant, it's not about winning or anything like that. For TerraSant, it's purely aim training. That's the way I look at it. Sensitivity training and aim training and getting used to recoil control. Those are 3 big factors that you can achieve from just playing TerraSant. I'll show you later when we get into it and play some TerraSant. But here we go for mouse ADS sensitivity. Okay, now this is extremely important. After Shadow Legacy, they actually implemented the feature where you could go for advanced settings for mouse ADS and pretty much change the sensitivity for each magnification, which is kind of annoying, but they did it because they added so many scopes into the game. But if you got a simple, this is your standard, you know, ADS, so this is your aim down sight speed. Now, me personally, I would have it either between, okay, so I would have it probably between, let's say 25, okay, and about 75, okay. I personally run on 55, and I know some pro players that run on 55 as well. But pretty much, once you've got that sorted, I'll show you the conversions here. Now, I've actually got a website. I'll link it down in the description below. But there is a website here called R6 Shadow Legacy ADS Calculator, right? Now, you set your ADS up 55. I'm 4:3 aspect ratio and 85 FOV. And here you have the corresponding sensitivity for each one. So you want to implement this into each magnification here. So for example, 38 for 1x scope, 64 for 1.5x scope. And this pretty much equalizes it all out, so everything feels the exact same and feels smooth. So it's sort of like, it turns it back into the old sort of ADS settings. It's just a conversion thing, so this will help out a lot. So if you're struggling with that, definitely go try that out. But the last thing we have, actually I'll come down here. I'll mention this here just quickly. Mouse scroll. Now, if you always have a problem where while you're shooting or reloading or something, you switch weapons on accident, definitely turn mouse scroll off, because this can be the cause for most of it, because this is like a weapon switch button, unless you run it for something else. Now, gadget deployment. If you have it on advanced, essentially what it does is when you pull out your gadget, you don't have to hold the button down consistently to before you place the gadget down. You can just hold it. So if you're going to do something like meaty marley sort of shit, you know, like holding out your mirror or your shield, then definitely have it on advanced. Otherwise, you're going to be holding that button down for a long time and won't be able to concentrate on your other buttons. Now, for drone deployment, same thing. If you're on a drone bait, so of course a lot of pro players do this too, where they throw a drone into a room to distract the enemies. Pretty much like what happens when you throw a drone generally is the enemies will push you. Either that or they'll just hold, of course, where they are still. But sometimes they'll get cocky and they'll push you because they're listening for sound cues, right? So if you have it on advanced and you throw your drone, it won't put you automatically onto the camera. So this way, if they push you, you can still hold out for a bit. So throw your drone, wait a bit, then drone. That's usually what you want to do as well. And of course, down here, everything comes to personal preference again, except for prone. If you want to drop shot, then set prone to toggle. That way you can drop shot quite nicely. And now accessibility. Okay, now this is a new feature as well from Shadow Legacy, but essentially, optic color, right? You want to set this to something smooth that's not too sore on the eyes, not like red or probably dark blue. You want to like green, yellow, white, or maybe like not necessarily black either. But just some of the smoother colors. Of course, there are custom presets here you can use if you don't want to use your own stuff. But me personally, I set it to yellow and have opacity 40%. Now, the only problem with this is it's hard to see your middle crosshair when you're aiming onto someone's head. But it makes it a lot easier to see the environment around you. Like when you're in your scope, the environment around your crosshair is much easier because of the opacity being so much lighter. That is my personal reference and just kind of like what you should really go off. Now, chat scale. Okay, you want to have this less than 100%, and chat background, definitely want to have it on transparent. You don't want some massive thing sticking out while you're typing and whatever. Alright, so this video is already long enough. I don't want to keep you guys here for much longer, so I'm not going to go through with a terrorist. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video and do take into some of these tips, take them into account, and I will make more videos like this if you guys want me to. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Stay safe.